Thank you for tuning in to Turn to the Stars. My name is Andrea Klim, and today I'm going to be bringing to you the news for July of 2017. And today is Wednesday, July 12, 2017, and this show is dedicated to our children of the world. There is a new moon on July 23rd, and I'm recording from beautiful Eustis, Florida. And the topics that I'll be discussing on today's show is the full moon that just occurred this past weekend on July 8th. And that energy still lingers on until the next new moon. And then I'm going to be discussing the new moon on which is coming up on July 23rd. And that's a Sunday, and is going to be exact at 4:26 a.m. and the constellation of Leo, and that is a precursor to the eclipse, which is the first full moon lunar eclipse in August. So what I'd like to do to start the show is I like to recap the energies that's been unfolding since the full moon this past Saturday in Capricorn. That was right beside Pluto. That full moon was right beside Pluto up in our solar system, and the word intense is a word that probably describes it very well, but there would probably be a lot of other words we could use as well. And it was a highly emotional yet reality driven front and center for everyone to really experience, because it did occur, as I said earlier, in the 11th house of the universal chart. And I'm going to hold that up for you to see right now. This is the universal chart of the full moon, and it is right here. And this is the 11th house of the chart, which talks to us about society, about communities, about friendships, about goals. And I'm going to go into that further, but a universal chart is a chart that is created at to look at a specific time, and it's looking at how the planets are affecting everyone. So this is the full moon right here at 17 degrees of Capricorn, and you can see Pluto right next to it on this full moon. Wow, that scared me. So we're going to talk a little bit more about, actually a lot about that chart as we move forward. That universal chart did really highlight huge transformation in areas such as careers, reputation, brings attention to whether we are status driven or driven to help others with our knowledge, our support, our materials. What's mine is yours is the type of attitude that was present at best. However, as this full moon is part of a cardinal T-square, there are some important dynamics to consider. Relationships, stop. Family, stop. Friends, stop. And the reason I'm saying stop is because the pressure and conversations going on between the full moon and Pluto in Capricorn, and Jupiter in Libra, and the Sun and Mars in Cancer have created an incredible amount of pressure that in areas I just mentioned. And I'm going to show you again what that looks like in this chart. Oops, I have the chart upside down, sorry about that. Okay, so you can see right here the full moon and right next to Pluto, and you see these red lines down to the Sun and Mars, and up here to Jupiter, right back. That's called a cardinal T-square. That is incredibly pressure packed. And when I say stop, that means that these areas of your life require you to use kid gloves. Meaning cardinal energy is energy that wants to act. And when we have squares and we have oppositions, it is very important that we stop and we think and we be very careful about how we proceed. So I wanted to point that out. That is a pressure-packed type of energy force that I'm sure everyone felt it on Saturday night, but remember, it's still with us until the new moon. So I wanted to talk about that and really bring it to your attention. We need to be reminded that we can only do what we can about what we can. Children, care for them, protect them, understand, show them unconditional love, and understand, yet remember, what you teach them is what they will copy and act out in their life. So as adults, we have a huge responsibility because our children do copy us. They copy our movements, our actions. They copy what we say. They copy how we behave. And so that's a lot of responsibility for us as adults. And so one of the things that I saw where there was relief provided in this chart, and I'm going to show you that right now, is Neptune over here in Pisces in the first house, trining the Sun and Mars. Now this is a aspect of relief. It provides open doors. It provides us with the ability to see through the negativity. And especially this area of the chart is children. So that's why I'm talking a lot about children with this full moon. And it's Neptune trining the Sun and Mars. And so healthy boundaries, teach your children what these are, because what they see you do is what they will do. The stars, the planets show us. Listen to your children's words, the body language, hear their voice, hear their requests. Love them for who they are. Support them in the creative endeavors that they're interested in. Help those who you see suffering. This full moon chart displays and speaks volumes of the importance of the health for our children and the responsibilities we have to teach them with love, and to tell the truth when they ask, because they are ready to know. When they ask, they're ready to know. Protect them when it's necessary. I also need to talk about the difficulties associated with this full moon and give you the knowledge offered to us by this chart. And so I recommend that you think carefully before taking action. There's a lot of old wounds surfacing now, and we need to realize the keys available and the tools, meaning psychological tools available. Remember on the last show, I took you on a shamanic journey to find the keys available to you through your ancestors. So I would recommend that you access those keys, those psychological keys, those spiritual keys. One thing that I've learned through my studies of life is that we are a spirit, we are a soul, we are mind, and we are a body. I call it SSMB. And it was taught to me by a really special person, Michael Berardi, years ago, who passed away through Lou Gehrig's disease. He said, Andrea, it's not mind, body, spirit. He said it's about the spirit, the soul, the mind, and the body. Those are 4 components that make us up as human beings, and all of them matter. And so those are tools. Those are tools that I'm talking about, you know, the keys that we have within us that come through us from our ascendants, from our descendants. I want to talk to you about being united and uniting, taking steps to align rather than control outcomes to difficult situations. I want to talk to you about peace. Let's all remind each other that love responses or no responses at all is better than an angry or vengeful response. A long time ago, someone I love very much said to me, wherever there is light, no darkness can remain. So it's very similar to walking into a room, turning on a light, and the darkness is gone. So this full moon at 17 degrees Capricorn closely, now this is so interesting astrologically because in astrology we study history. We study the history of planetary alignments that are similar to what we're experiencing now. And we learn from that, well, hopefully we learn from them how to do better this time around. So this full moon we just had on Saturday at 17 degrees Capricorn closely parallels in history to February of 1797. And as I said, astrology studies history and the cycles of time. This period in history was a time of industrial and national revolutions, capitalism, mechanistic materialism, reformation. Specifically, February 4th, 1797, there was earthquakes in Ohio. Ecuador, 41,000 people lost their lives. February 12th, 1797, Haynes' song got Erhard Franz de Kaiser premieres in Vienna. And I'm talking about all of these events, these historical events, and what a life-changing effect they had on the world, such as this full moon did. And another important date would have been February 15th of 1797, which was the Battle of Cape St. Vincent. February 19th, 1797, 1/3 of papal domain ceded to France. February 21st, 1797, Trinidad, West Indies surrenders to British. And it's like the wind is stirring up here. Another important date that's aligned with this full moon energy that we just came through is February 26th of 1797. This one's particularly interesting because the Bank of England issues its first £1 note. It was the smallest denomination introduced following gold shortages caused by the French Revolutionary Wars. So it was difficult times, and it parallels to now. And I say to you, what's occurring with our US dollar? I'll leave that as a loose end. Some insight into this new moon. So I'm going to move on here and talk about the full moon because I want to cover a lot of ground because we're a little late on producing this show. So I'm going to go further and talk about the new moon so we can have something to look forward to. New moons mean new beginnings, new starts, new experiences are coming in our life. It paints a picture for us of what's to come. And so approaching July 23rd, which is a Sunday, you're going to feel this energy beginning to unfold in your life. So at exactly 4:20 a.m. on July 23rd, 2017, we'll have a new moon at 0 degrees and 41 minutes. And what this new moon does is it inspires us, it inspires the heart to take an exercise in love. Open your heart, be all that you can be. Show your colors, show your respect, and teach others about respect. Have fun. Let your inner child come out and play. Spend time around the fire telling and listening to stories. Because Mars is right beside this new moon in Leo, games, activities, adventures are going to be in the plans. Romance will be in the air. Children will be active. It's a great time for vacations. One of the warnings that I would give you on this new moon in Leo is that it squares Uranus in Aries. And this is actually what we call a separating square, which means that prior to July 23rd, expect weird, unusual displays of crazy experiences. Recognize and be very careful how you respond. This can be fire, fighting. Be careful of impulsive responses. Most likely the best response will be no response unless you wish to engage in civil action. Remember, this new moon wants us to think about our children. They are copying us and seeing how we respond. We can show them a responsible way to manage situations. Oops, hang on here. I want to make sure that I talk with you about the Saturn in Sagittarius. I want to show you this new moon here in Leo, which is right over here in the chart. And you can see the moon is at 0 degrees Leo and 41 minutes. The sun is at 0 degree Leo and 41 minutes. And Mars is at 1 degree of Leo and 5 minutes. And so there's a lot of nice flow of energy for healing to take place just prior to this full moon. But this right here, when Mars is involved with Uranus, we really need to, prior to this date, be very careful about our responses. Uranus, in my classes that I've taught in the past, one of my students called it crazy pants. So we need to be very careful about our responses because many people are watching, and so, you know, we can go with the fire, or we can pick and choose where we want these expressions to take place in our life, decide what dramas we want to get involved in. And what I was talking about earlier was, let me see here, Saturn. Let me find Saturn. Saturn in Sagittarius is trining the North Node in Leo and Mercury in Leo in the second house of this chart. So the second house is about security. The sixth house is about our work and our health. So responsibility, there's a gift here in that we have in being able to be responsible for our expressions, and there'll be great fulfillment that comes by, you know, finding the good in anything that is in front of you. Find the positive. This gives us the support to do that. So I'm going to just put that aside for a minute and talk with you more about that Saturn in Sagittarius trining the North Node in Leo and Mercury. So what I wanted to share with you is that expressions that show and provide examples of leadership where everyone can feel safe and honored is the ultimate best response. I have to say to you, we can do it. The south node of the moon in Aquarius in the 8th house of this chart, which I'm going to show you right now. The south node is where our comfort lies. It's where the past, we are aware, we become aware of the past and how important it is toward a positive future. So I'm going to be talking about that south node for a couple of minutes, because that south node in the 8th house brings us the wisdom of what was done in the past, uniting together, and that we should pick and choose our direction with strategy or a plan. It talks about people coming together with a common cause, strategizing, planning how to change, how to resolve the security problems that we face in this country and around the world. I encourage you on this new moon to follow the stirrings of your heart. My shamanic practicing shamanic teacher, Julianne Santini, who I love very dearly, sent me a video that was made by Sunita Maya. And she says, do not mistake love for another. We cannot fulfill ourselves through another. We should come together having found love for ourselves first. It's so easy to form attachments because we want and mistake love for attachment. So often we grasp and cling in relationships because we're so afraid to lose. Attachment love says that we love, therefore I want you to make me happy. Genuine love holds very gently and allows things to flow. The less we hold on to someone, the more we suffer. The more we hold on to someone, the more we suffer. Any type of relationship that imagines we can fulfill ourselves through others is bound to suffer. Projection, romance, we ask others to fulfill our needs. These things cause a very difficult relationship. It's very important that we love ourselves first. So August 7th will be the first full moon that leads to a total lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Aquarius. And it brings to light, as full moons do, they bring full light to particular areas of our life. And I wanted to just really talk in depth about, a little bit into depth about this full moon that leads to this lunar eclipse, which is this lunar eclipse, and talk about relationships and unity and communication, about where we're going. These are all things that are going to be highlighted. Please tune in also to my next show, which is going to be completely focused on the first lunar eclipse of the, coming into the end of summer, the fall season. August, we're going to have two eclipses. First, the lunar eclipse, which is a south node eclipse, which means that there's things from the past that are going to arise. It paints a picture of what the next 6 months is going to be like in your life, what's going to unfold. So I would encourage you to, really look into this. I would ask you to ask yourself, what's your plan? Because Aquarius is the planner. They're the strategizers, the ones that examine things very carefully, and ruled by the goddess Athena. So she was the goddess and strategizer during wartime. So I wanted to just leave you with that. Think about, what is your plan coming up? What are your goals? How can you fit in with society? How can you achieve those goals? What's going to take you from here to there? That's very, very important, because that energy is already starting to come in. We can feel it. We're becoming more and more sensitive and in tune with the world around us. So anyway, what is your plan? Very, very important. So until next time, I wish you to be well, and remember, turn to the stars and you will find your answers there. And our solar system, I just wanted to add this because of a conversation I had yesterday with my daughter's boyfriend. Our solar system and all the planets were created by God, by a divine light, and all his helpers. There's no mistake. We were shown how to help each other through understanding God's language. So with that, I am going to say, please be well. My daughter's Latin teacher taught me this phrase, cura ut valias, which means take care that you be well. And please contact me, stay in touch. If you have a need to have some guidance with your future or with your soul's chart, I'm happy to assist you. So I can be reached at www.turntothestars.com. My phone number is 603-490-6253. My email is Andrea@turntothestars.com. And I look forward to hearing from you all. So take care. I'll see you next time.